Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia, Prof. Datuk Dr. Ahmad Bashawir Haji Abdul Ghani, Vice Chancellor Universiti Utara Malaysia. Yang berusaha, Associate Professor Dr. Wan Zuhani Saad, Director of Academic Excellence Division, Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Education. Honorable Keynote Speaker, Paper Presenter, Participant, Delegates, Working Community on the 5th Inspirational Scholar Symposium ISS 2020. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning. First of all, let us give thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, for it's because of His infinite blessing that we have this opportunity to come together on the occasions of 5th ISS 2020. I would like to extend my warmest welcome to all of you, distinguished guests, keynote speaker, paper presenter, participant, and delegates of the 5th ISS 2020 organized by UTLC UUM. Welcome to the 5th ISS 2020. Thank you to Yang Berbahagia, Professor Datuk Dr. Ahmad Bashawir Haji Abdul Ghani, the Vice Chancellor of Universiti Utara Malaysia, for spending your time to officiate the opening of the 5th ISS 2020. We are honored to have Yang Berusaha Associate Professor Dr. Wan Zuhani Saad, Director of Academic Excellence. A special thanks to our panel speakers who have taken the time to join us and share the successful experience in growing, teaching, learning. The ISS has entered 5th year and is provide a platform for participants to get together and share view on innovation in teaching and learning. There are 67 papers and more than 100 participants join in 2 days conference that will be conducted virtually. This conference will be on the Facebook Live. This conference also will, this is a platform for participants to share the latest finding on their research in teaching and learning. My heartiest congratulations to all. Before this, we have already organized 4 seminars since 2010. One, last year in 2019, we held Thailand association with the Prince of Songkla University, PSU, under the theme Grow Mindsets, Innovative and Integrated World-Ready Education. Ladies and gentlemen, this year the theme Embracing Change, Leading Innovation and Creativity has been chosen in line with the current developments in the world of education today. Innovation and creativity are two frequently heard in higher education. How can we encourage innovation and creativity ourselves in our students? Innovation education encourages teachers and students to explore, research, and use all the tools to uncover something new. It involves a different way of looking at the problem and solving them. The thinking process that goes into it will help students to develop their creativity and their problem-solving skill. In today's environment, we have to be creative and innovative, forward-looking, and forward-acting, and at the same time, we must deliver the result. We must work together to compete our competitors' education. We seek to continue making Malaysia the right place for education hub and the destination of choice for local and international students. Technology is changing the way we educate our students and it moving very fast, especially during COVID-19 periods. Quality of education needs to keep up. We understand that the transition can be challenging. Ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, today we implement our conference by using virtual conference technology by simulating real seminar. We are simulating the real physical seminar. Firstly, the participant need to log in the virtual conference system. The process starts from participant register the conference, paper submission, selection, event scheduling, auto attendance, paper presentation as a asynchronous and synchronous online survey and digital certificate. The participant also can visit, get a conference material and watch previous speaker video in the visual conference such as the secretariat room, parallel session room, walk-in or the workshop room, exhibition or sponsor room, virtual meeting room, and coffee room throughout the system. Let us enjoy the new visual conference system. Before concluding, I wish to once again thanks to all participants, the invited speaker, and the organizing committee for their provided veteran support in making the meaningful event a great success. I hope that you enjoy every precious and exciting moment in the event. May the sharing of knowledge in this conference be beneficial to all and could be shared when you are back in your field. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note, thank you and have a fruitful session ahead. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Dr. Muhammad Syabani. Ladies and gentlemen, next I am honoured to invite Yang Berbahagia Professor Datuk Dr. Ahmad Bashawir Haji Abdul Ghani, the Vice Chancellor of Universiti Utara Malaysia, to deliver an officiating speech. Please welcome Yang Berbahagia Datuk.
Associate Professor Dr. Wan Zuhaini Saad, Director Academic Excellence Division, Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Education Malaysia. Associate Professor Technologies Dr. Muhammad Syabani Abu Bakar, Director of University Teaching and Learning Centre or UTLC, Chairperson 5th International Scholar Symposium 2020, Honourable Paper Presenters, Delegates, Members of the 5th Inspirational Scholar Symposium 2020 Working Committee, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning. Welcome to all of you, distinguished guests, keynote speakers, paper presenters, participants and delegates to the 5th Inspirational Scholar Symposium 2020 organized by the University Teaching and Learning Centre, UTLC, Universiti Utara Malaysia. The Inspirational Scholar Symposium has entered its 5th year and it provides a platform for participants to get together and share views on innovation in teaching and learning. I'm pleased to note that there are almost 100 participants in this 2-day conference that will be conducted virtually. This is a platform for participants to share the latest findings on their research in teaching and learning. My heartiest congratulations to all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, this year the theme, Embracing Change, Leading Innovation and Creativity, has been chosen in line with the current developments in the world of education today. I would like to relate it to the education atmosphere of the new norm era this year when the COVID-19 outbreak hit the world. The pandemic that has claimed hundreds of thousands of lives around the world has created unrest among communities the world over. Thus, in Malaysia, to curb the spread of this pandemic, the government has announced the Movement Control Order starting from 18 March 2020. During the start of the MCO, almost all citizens were not allowed to leave their homes. People were not permitted to go to work. Students were not allowed to attend schools as well as institutions of higher learning. As Malaysians undergo the MCO or Movement Control Order, they make changes to their daily routine. Now almost everything has to be done from the home. People have begun to work from home and students too have begun to learn from home. Industrial Revolution 4.0 has afforded the current generation with new means of learning. Therefore, when COVID-19 hit, traditional classes have been replaced by learning online through video conferencing applications such as Zoom, WebEx, MS Teams, Google Hangout, WhatsApp, Google Meet, and various other applications available to support this new normal of teaching and learning. As these applications are considered new by some educators, they too need to be given intensive training to ensure that they can effectively teach their students. Educators also need to learn, explore this new knowledge in order to ensure that the knowledge is shared, thus bringing about maximum impact to students. In line with 21st century learning, the demands of learning while integrating the new norms can somewhat be overwhelming for fellow educators. 21st century learning aims to train students to be more communicative, collaborative, creative, and critical in their thinking. This, of course, requires educators to be more advanced in the field of technology in order for them to share knowledge more effectively. Educators no longer function as people who merely impart knowledge. As a matter of fact, their roles have evolved to become more of moderators who not only teach but educate students on their quest for knowledge. In line with technological advancements, knowledge can be acquired at our fingertips. Therefore, educators provide guidance on how students can gain knowledge from various sources and then present it through special application for education made available online. Educators who are creative will be able to create a more enjoyable learning environment. For example, students can be asked to find their own topics to be discussed online. As a matter of fact, some book publishers have even digitized textbooks as e-books for online references. This makes it easier for students to make references. Summaries of these e-books can be done up in the form of mind maps through Xmind application. The same task can also be done in groups. In doing so, students not only enhance their communicative skills, they can also hone their leadership skills and teamwork amongst group members. Meanwhile, students' information technology or IT skills will also improve through various other applications such as Keynote when preparing presentation for their assignments. Presentations can also be done digitally by screen sharing. Coming back to the role of moderator, communication between educators and students will not only be limited to face-to-face interaction, but some channels or platforms are also available, namely Telegram, WhatsApp, Google Classroom, or iMessage. This application can help educators to convey information, remind students about assignments, and can also be a platform for question and answer session. There are many applications that can be used by students such as iMovie, Keynote, Google Classroom, and so on. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow's means of learning is being discussed and elaborated today. Today's event is one of the many opportunities offered for featuring, sharing, and consolidating innovative ideas. We all have the opportunity to prepare ourselves for tomorrow and to be one of the change agents heading towards the future. Before concluding, I wish to once again express my sincere appreciation to all participants, invited speakers, and the organizing committee for their undivided, unfaltering support in making this a meaningful event a great success. I wish all of you a fruitful and unforgettable experience virtually as we explore the trends in education and make new friends with people with common goals. I hope that you enjoy every precious and exciting moment in this event. May the sharing of knowledge in this conference be beneficial to all and could be shared once you are back in your own atmosphere. Use the concepts that you have gained from this conference to think of some stimulus on the innovations needed to necessitate the challenges which await us all in the not so distant future. On that note, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I now officially declare open the 5th Inspirational Scholar Symposium 2020. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and thank you.
Thank you very much Yang Berbahagia Datuk for a meaningful speech and officiating the 5th ISS 2020, the virtual conference. unfortunately, we have some difficulties and technical problems. However, we will return to you soon. Please bear with us, and we will be with you shortly. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that we have Yang Berusaha Associate Professor Dr. Wan Zuhaini Saad as our first keynote speaker. Thank you, Doctor, for spending time with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Wan Zuhaini is an associate professor in microbiology. Her research activities include drug discoveries from thermophilic fungi and lactic acid bacteria, microbial enzymes technology in biopolymers in pulp and papers. She has been awarded patents on isolation and preservation techniques on thermophilic fungi and enzyme for bioreacting of knaf, while 11 copyrights received for e-learning products including Mighty Microbes, Big Book of Microbes, and Microtopia Land Game Board with augmented reality. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Wan Zuhaini is an educational technology enthusiast. She practiced e-learning and active learning approach in enhancing students' engagement for effective and meaningful learning. A strong advocate of empowering learners in experiential learning, she was awarded with Best Trendsetter Award in RUCell 2017, winner of the Reimagining and Redesigning Higher Education Virtual Immersive Learning Experience category in 2017, and winner of the National Academic Award Teaching Award Pure Science Cluster in 2018. Currently, she is the Director of Academic Excellence Division, Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Higher Education, Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to invite Yang Berusaha Associate Professor Dr. Wan Zuhaini Saad to deliver the keynote speech entitled Leading Disruptive Innovation for Engaging Communities. Please welcome Dr. Wan Zuhaini.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Ahmad Bashawir bin Haji Abdul Ghani, Vice Chancellor of Universiti Utara Malaysia, Associate Professor Technologist Dr. Muhammad Syabani Abu Bakar, Director of UTLC UUM, and also the Chairman for the 5th Inspirational Scholar Symposium 2020. Honorable keynote speakers and all enthusiasts, or the participants of ISS 2020. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer for having me here today. And also I would like to congratulate UTLC and UUM for organizing this virtual conference. I'm going to share my screen. The title given to me today is on the leading disruptive innovation for engaging communities for the 5th Inspirational Scholar Symposium this year, which is actually a unusual conference that has never been done, I think, across the world, not only in UUM, because of the COVID-19 pandemic that has profoundly impacted people's life, family and communities and the global economy. And its future evolution remains uncertain. And the scope and speed of impact across all business and economy sectors has been huge. And in today's changing world, higher education especially is confronted with new and unprecedented issues, challenges, requiring adapt and nimble solutions. This is shared by published handbook by UNESCO, Handbook on Facilitating Flexible Learning. And in this handbook, the UNESCO Director General mentioned on how we need to come together when entering uncharted territory. We need to come together not only to address the immediate educational consequences of this unprecedented crisis, but also to build up the longer term resilience of education system, also shared by the director of UNESCO International Research and Training Center for Rural Education. And this was only published yesterday by the Department of Statistics Malaysia on the report of the Labour Force Malaysia third quarter 2020. In the previous quarter, the second quarter of 2020, it was the unemployment rate was at 4.9%. And now, this recent report showed the third quarter, the unemployment has decreased to 4.7%. And if you can see, the labor or the unemployment rate dropped at 5.1%. Okay, dropped from 5.1% earlier, and all this actually has impacted not only in has been impacted not only in Malaysia but also the global economy. Due to this changing ecosystem, the shift in higher eds, okay, and also the talent that are focused along with the impact to the jobs and the economy. World Economic Forum has reported in October 2020 how the COVID-19 has actually, due to the induced lockdown and also related global recession of 2020, have actually created an uncertain outlook for the labor market. And this also actually at the same time accelerated the arrival of future of work. If you can see here, the top 10 job roles in increasing demands across industries. Number one is the data analysts and scientists. And the other professions The other jobs, for example, like AI, big data, digital transformation specialists, information security analysts, and at number 10 is Internet of Things specialists. So although the pace of technology adoption is expected to remain unabated and may accelerate in some areas, okay? And the number of jobs that has disappeared may surpassed by the number of these jobs of tomorrow's created. So this is actually in contrast to previous years. Job creation is low, okay, at that time, while the job destruction accelerated at that time. So skill gaps, however, continues to be high as in-demand skills across jobs change in the next 5 years. This is also by the World Economic Forum, top 10 skill of 2025 in the next 5 years. So the top skills and skill groups which employers see as rising in prominence in the lead up to 2025 include groups such as critical thinking and problem solving and analysis, as well as skills in self-management and also working with people. Okay, that is in the leadership and social influence. And if you can see, the analytical thinking and innovation is still at number 1. Active learning and learning strategies. See, so this actually stretch the tolerance of flexibility. So on average, okay, companies estimate that around 40% of the workers require skill or require reskilling of 6 months or less, right? And 94%, this is from the report by the World Economic Forum, 94% of business leaders report that they expect employees to pick up new skills on the job. That's a difference about 65% compared to 2018. And so actually the future of work has already arrived for a large majority of the online white collar workforce. Now, there was a book published in the year 1816. It's called A Year Without a Summer. When Mount Tambora erupted in April 1815, the dust and ash from the volcano of the island Sumbawa near Bali, Indonesia, blotted out the sun and lowered the global temperature, hurting all the harvests everywhere, and food prices soared. Thousands of people died. During this eruption, there were 100,000 people who actually died. And so did actually the horses. You see, the people died and from famine and diseases, and the horses, because of their owner, could no longer afford to feed them. So it was actually against this dismal backdrop that an inventor, a German inventor, Karl von Drusch, okay, dreamed up what they call as the Laufmaschine, okay, to replace the equine locomotion. And that machine today is called running machine, is called the bicycle. And this is because of the disruption, okay, due to the eruption in Mount Tambora in 1815. And this is one of the what we say as the pandemic creates an opportunity to make that transformational change. And when we talk about disruptive innovation, okay, this is a book. We should thank the late Professor Clayton Christensen, who actually published this book on the innovator's dilemma, who actually coined the word disruptive innovation. And this Harvard Business School's professor is who, the author of this innovator's dilemma. He is actually introduced the world to his theory of disruptive innovation. And this was published when digital technology at that time was beginning to make a impact, seismic impact that felt, and Professor Christensen's theory offered a compelling explanation as to why disruptors could overtake even the best managed companies. So his theory explained that disruptive innovation in diverse sectors, such as hard disk drive, electric vehicles, steel mills, and which actually applied in any industries, including in retail. So this theory of a disruptive innovation by Professor Christensen posited, okay, also gave an immense power of influence to Steve Jobs and other Silicon Valley titans over his this work. So the current crisis is revealing several areas where disruptive innovations are gaining traction, rapidly moving from marginal applications to mainstream adoption. And people seek to satisfy unique wants and needs, a new range of opportunity that can arise amid pandemic. So that's why I call it disruptive technology amid disruptive pandemic disruption. So the pandemic crisis also has highlighted the importance of IoT, Internet of Things, for example, to company, for businesses to continue, especially in healthcare, for example. So IoT enable warehouse technology that enhance transparency in the global supply chain, for example, real-time data and products that Journey have facilitated rapid response. Okay, and the IoT also, for example, includes network of CCTV cameras and smart connected sensors. Telemedicine, okay, telemedicine is actually an example of a disruptive trend that actually has held the potential to lower the cost and at the same time improve access to healthcare. So now that the COVID-19 crisis has caused many providers and patients to experiment with this telemedicine out of necessity, so it may gain a foothold to eventually disrupt aspects of in-person cares. So, alongside with the telemedicine, we also have the AR, augmented reality and virtual reality that had actually showed strong growth due to this crisis, not only for in the healthcare, but also especially in the education that involves simulation and also technical and experimental activities. Okay. Alongside with the healthcare, I'm sure that all of you are aware of also on the areas like e-commerce, food and grocery, delivery, cleaning, and hygienic hygiene have also been shown strong growth during this crisis. So, however, whether these areas continue to grow is still remain uncertain. So, I'm sharing with you this website by BBC, which actually has helped many by answering questions, on the pressing questions on the concerns of the post-COVID society. So maybe you can check out on the this website that is under BBC Work Life. And now, coronavirus actually, COVID-19 has provided an enormous catalyst to accelerate the opportunity of the future to today, okay, and has accelerated the digital transformation of higher education. And one of the example of this is what we call the dawn of the age of digital learning, from BC to AD. Okay, BC here is actually before COVID. AD is after disease. Okay, so in AD, after disease, essentially maybe more, maybe even, you know, more than 80%, for example, students are taking courses online. Okay, and this shift, we expect this shift is here to stay. Even before COVID-19, and this was actually a report by a World Economic Forum, there was actually a high growth of adoption in educational technology, and overall market for online education was projected to reach 350 billion by 2025. This including all the apps or tools that have been used, that people are using right now, especially on the virtual conferences, just like your VC mentioned just now, that VC mentioned on the virtual conference tools like WebEx and Zoom and Microsoft Teams, for example. That has been a significant surge in usage since COVID-19. And although World Economic Forum has published this year on the 19th October on the future top 10 skills, I do believe that the critical skills right now in 2020 will still be focusing on these 10 critical skills for our students. One is on the sense making, the ability for the students to determine the deeper meaning or significance of what they have been working on, what they have studied. And also for the students to be able to connect to others, to be able to work with others in the virtual learning environment through the virtual collaboration skill, in the ability for the students to translate vast amounts of data and able to curate information from their skill in computational thinking or from the skill in cognitive load management, for the students to be able to discriminate and filter information for importance. There have been many sharings from the universities on how to teach online, on how to guide our students to curate information, for our students to have the ability to instill the design mindset, the maker mindset to process, okay, and how to work with other disciplines, that is through the transdisciplinary concepts across discipline, and one of the critical skills is through the new media literacy. As in our MQF 2.0, numeracy skills, digital skills have been spelled out, elaborated for our educators and for our students. So I think these 10 critical skills are very much important right now amid a pandemic, for us to identify the criteria for the talent of the future. We keep saying that we want our students to become job creators. Okay, just now we saw how about 4.7% of the unemployment rate in Malaysia, and how they can become job creators. Now, and these can only be achievable through changes in the classroom, through new teaching model, and how the educators need to have the across discipline just now, transdisciplinary approach, how we can instill the consumer mindset, and how to see the tangible results from our students. Our students, they need engagement, they want to be involved. So, and that challenge, okay, the challenges that you have in the classroom is now being brought to the virtual learning environment. So when online learning and training, for example, is on the rise, but looks different for those in the employment and those who are unemployed. There has been an increase in the numbers of individuals seeking out opportunities for learning. And in the Ministry of Higher Education, our strategic plans, our aspiration, and our students' aspiration are still based on the 10 shifts of the Malaysian Education Blueprint 2015-2025. The first shift, holistic entrepreneurial and balanced graduate, for example, play an important role, not for the future, but for now, for this current, in this current situation. Globalized online learning play a significant role in terms of producing the talent excellence in flexible education, for example. We map also through using the framework, map to the framework of Shared Prosperity Vision 2030. And one of the enabler of the Shared Prosperity Vision 2020 is education and TVET. Increase in skilled and highly educated workforce, learning society, and outcome-based education. So in order for us to ensure inclusive and equitable quality of education through the Sustainable Development Goal, our aspiration also have to be mapped out, our initiatives mapped out to based on the Sustainable Development Goals. This is also to promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. The framework, the Future Ready Curriculum Framework, has been revised and focusing on the foundation of the holistic, balanced and entrepreneurial graduates just now is the fluid and organic curriculum structure. Fluid and organic curriculum structure is the foundation of the future ready curriculum framework. But the fluid and organic curriculum structure alone will not be enough. It has to be supported by the transformative teaching and learning delivery, the 21st century pedagogy, future learning spaces, immersive experiential learning. And these, this framework also emphasize on the holistic assessment, which is on the, either is actually challenge based. We want to actually migrate from the exam based through holistic assessment, often authentic assessment, challenge-based assessment. And that can happen only through the transformation of our educators. This is to produce a lifelong learners, produce our graduates with design thinking, with the 21st century skill, and of course, for our holistic, entrepreneurial, and balanced graduates. Now, when all this disruptive innovation, okay, and the theme for ISS this year, embracing challenge, leading innovations and creativity. This theme has a very deep meaning, where all, especially in higher education, we need to embrace this challenge to produce what we call resilience, to produce innovators, to produce change-ready talents. And that can happen when we use the disruptive technology to innovate and to create and to reimagineering higher education for the nation. When we talk about redesigning, or when we talk about using the leverage on the disruptive technology in this disruption that is caused by the pandemic, we need to be able to imagine and engineer. So the word reimagineering comes from the word imagination and engineer. So when we talk about the community, so higher education, we need, post-pandemic, we need to reimagineer higher education for the nation, for the community. And that will involve the governance, the academic excellence, which involves the curriculum, the revised curriculum that I mentioned just now, lifelong learning, and also TVET, talent management for our graduates, not only the talent management focusing on the graduates, but also the academia, scholarly academia, and how research, commercialization, innovation, and internalization that involve industry partnership and society involvement, also with how this initiative can, for visibility and inclusivity. So all these components actually will produce scholarly, the outcome, resilient and for sustainability. And through this higher education for the nation, focusing on teaching and learning, focusing on academic excellence, four thrusts, under these four thrusts, curriculum and pedagogy. So moving forward, we want to produce resilient and change-ready talent just now. using the disruptive innovation that was described just now. We want to transform the academic program through using the experiential learning and competency-based education model. And we also need to have transformative delivery. And digital competency, not only for our students, but the educators, they need to have that digital competency to become instructional designer. Because our as a 21st century educators, we are the learning designers. And when we design for flexible education, we want to emphasize on the learner-centered initiative through micro-credential, through what we call Uber University, for example. Okay, so way forward in the academic program transformation initiative, experiential learning and competency-based education called Excel will be focusing on these 4 thrusts to produce lifelong innovators, to produce entrepreneurs, to produce creative practitioners and change makers. And through these 4 thrusts, experiential learning will be emphasized. Educators need to identify the programs, your own programs, on focusing on industrial-driven experiential learning, we call it, or community resilience, or research-infused experiential learning, or personalized experiential learning. Now, if you can see like ideal, care, real, and poise, those 4 are the attributes of our resilience and change-ready talents. Under the industry-driven programs, at this moment, we are producing programs in agriculture, for example, IoT in agriculture, smart farming agriculture. We are producing programs. We are working with industries, for example, like Intel, MIMOS, on the SIAP program, Structured Industry Apprenticeship Program. These are some of the models in the industry-driven programs that are ongoing and at the same time will be introduced. So the educators need to identify these models to be embedded in their curriculum. And I'm sharing again this BTEC program, skill-based program that have been that were offered in 2019, the first batch, and we will have more of this skill-based program. Recently, last Friday, during the budget 2021, the Ministry of Finance have announced the KPT PACE initiative by the Ministry of Education, 150 million. This is actually for the final year students next year. These vouchers, 3,000 each for the final year students to take professional certification before they graduate. So as educators, we need to identify what are the professional certifications that are suitable for our future graduate next year. And when we talk about community resilience experiential learning, I believe that all programs must embed the service learning. Okay, the service learning activities, the service learning project, the approach. Okay, service learning Malaysia University for Society, the SULAM approach in their curriculum. Students need to be able to relate to the real life situation, real life problems, using the technology working together with the industry and the agencies to help the community. And research fused experiential learning, focusing on how the students be able to connect research, inquiries, and community together to the approach used is inquiry-based learning. Okay, students will be able to cultivate students' expectation. Okay, inspiring them to solve community problem or industry problem, and that also we can actually introduce gap year, for example, to do research with the industry and community under this model of the research infused experiential learning. And this is actually by Dili Fang, 2017, how is the connected curriculum framework that can be used, that can be embedded under the research infused experiential learning model. And besides having the curriculum under our framework, we have the transformative learning spaces. Students need to have learning spaces, and how creative ideas, innovation, using the advancements of technology can be applied in the collaborative learning spaces or maker spaces. And in this, at this moment, in this situation, how we can actually enhance the ability to design, okay, to have that design mindset through virtual maker spaces, for example. So we need to have that maker mindset. It needs to be embed that making in the curriculum, so that our student will have that, can develop that design or that maker mindset. And for educators, how we can actually, through micro-credentials, through SulamNet, to high impact educational practices, game-based learning, all these are the innovative delivery, which I believe in this ISS conference can be, there will be many sharings and innovative idea from this ISS this year. And before this, when we have MOOCs, okay, now we want to have modular MOOCs. We want to have that mechanisms for our students. We are talking about disruptive innovation, but we need to go beyond our conventional or traditional setting. Guidelines of the good practices of micro-credentials have also been published for our students, for us to design to our courses, our syllabus, to micro-learnings. Okay, so our way forward is actually on how to design bite-sized learning or micro-learning for our students. This is an example by USM micro-credential that has been offered this semester. And lastly, on the transformative assessment, is on the holistic assessment, not only on the competency-based assessment, but we can also redesign our assessment that will be inclusive and reflect the learning experience of our learners. And that can happen, okay, that can happen through task-based, challenge-based, and project-based learning. Okay, and if you can see that online learning and training in the rise, but there has been increase in numbers when individuals are seeking out opportunities and for learning online through their own initiative, and also how the future of work has already arrived, and largely from the online white collar workforce. And to address the concerns about productivity and well-being, we need to be able to have the skills, okay, the fundamental of the digital skills from the educators, not only for educators but for our students, to create that sense of a learning community, to create connections, not only among the students, among the educators themselves, okay, through digital tools, and hope that this will at least to tackle the well-being challenges that has been the shift, okay, from working or from lecturing to the remote working. So I believe that innovating pedagogy by creating a virtual learning environment that fosters collaboration, application, and also student-led learning is important. And I'm sharing this white paper on disruption and by Centers for Teaching and Learning during the COVID-19 pandemic, leading the future of higher ed 2020. So please look for this white paper. I'm sure that since this is focusing on the Centers for Teaching and Learning, because for Centers for Teaching and Learning has been the become the first responders. Okay, before this, maybe some of the educators think that it is actually an optional service, but now Center of Teaching and Learning has become the first responders to support the pedagogical and digital transformation of courses. And these are some of the additional reference that you can use for innovative online pedagogy. Okay, I think this book by Understand How We Learn is very for me is unusual because it is actually a visual guide. Okay, and since this is the Inspirational Scholars Symposium, I would like to share this. The word inspire is, for me, is actually individualized, non-traditional, self-directed, passion-driven, innovative, reflective, experiential learning that you want to create for your learners. And it is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. And at a time when the value of higher education is increasingly questioned, it is essential for us to prepare our students to be resilient and change ready. So the abilities to gain from all the activities, the project-based learning, all the pedagogy used, the approach used, which is actually to provide transferable skills, okay, related to collaboration, communication, and creative problem solving, which give a position for our students for a solid, certain future, and provide a blueprint for higher education institution to make their value to society more evident. And this is by Farid Zakaria, who is a journalist in Washington Post, saying that the pandemic upended the present, but it's given us a chance to remake the future. So let's take, the future is ours. Okay? Let's take this opportunity. So with that, I thank you for your kind attention.
MC? Thank you very much, Doctor, for the presentation and the inspiring keynote. Now, if anyone has any question, I'm sure that Dr. Wan will be pleased to answer them.
So, Assalamualaikum, Dr. Wan.
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Shah.
So, I just want to, I can see one slide,
Uh-huh.
I think about the job,
Okay.
the job, something like that. So,
Uh-huh.
can Dr. Wan, explain in detail, the status or the job, start from the data analysis, what is the potential for the graduate now?
The earlier one. Data analyst and scientist.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Uh,
So where
this,
are we now?
this is the temp job roles, increased demand.
Yes, across industries. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe the Dr. Wan can explain this is the job. After
Okay.
that, how about the program in the university, So of
Uh-huh.
course, we need to suggest the program, especially in the MQA and other things. So how this one relate with the other, the KPT.
Okay.
Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, one of the initiatives that we are ongoing to do, we're going to do is one, we want to have that transformation. We are going to have a huge program transformation by identifying. I think it actually comes back to the educators themselves. You are not just a lecturer, pensyarah, not just a lecturer. You are the program owner, and you don't actually teach your one course. When you design your curriculum, when you design your syllabus, when you design the whole program, you need to consider what your student, what do you want your one student to learn. So not just focusing on the courses that you teach. So in order to do that, the transformation needs to be mapped out with all these demands, with all these skills and jobs in the demand in the industry. So for data analysts and scientists, for example, even since 2018, we have actually um, high demand in data engineering, for example, and the industries are waiting for these talents, these graduates. So the, through the industrial driven programs, we have um, collaborated with industries to come up with structured internship programs that are embedded in the curriculum, especially in data analysts and data scientists. Even MQA also last year has include the scope of cybersecurity in their computer standards. So um, the MDEC we are working together closely with MDEC and KKMM, Ministry of Communication, Multimedia and Communication, to work as the part of the Digital Economy Task Force. Our in the pipeline, we want to not only we want to work on the digitalization, but we want to uh, focus on digital transformation of the institution, because there is a difference between of digitalization and digital transformation. Digitalization, you just actually use the digital technology and information for the institutional operations. But digital transformation is bigger, it's deeper, is wider, is broader, that cut across all levels, that actually will change the strategic direction of the institution beyond the traditional settings.
So one more thing, Dr. Wan. So we can see this is a 10, we can see 10 roles, 10 job. So
Yes.
for example, the accounting, okay, this one, for example, the data analysis, no need to, for me, no need to get the degree in data analyst and scientist.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you take the accounting, for example, bachelor in accounting, but of course you need to get maybe 2 or 3 subject for this one, for this subject. I mean, for this job or role. For example, the accountant, they have maybe they have something, the knowledge about the data analyst and maybe the information security, something like that.
Yep. Yep. To
Yeah.
have different skill sets. Different skill sets. We want our graduates to have different skill sets. I think there is a book published also 2020 where, you know, before this they wanted to have more those very niche and focused graduates, but now they are looking for a generalist with different skill sets, for example. So I think the pandemic has actually disrupt our learning, not only for higher education, but our economy has changed, and we need to make that change together to be able to adapt and adopt.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wan.
Thank
I
you.
think Dr. Fong want to ask something.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Fong here.
Yes, Dr. Hailey, terima kasih. Yeah, my question was, thank you for sharing so many insights. So among all the list, what is the biggest and the immediate challenge that is occupying the heart, is occupying the time, is occupying the effort of Dr. Wan Johannes? Terima kasih.
Thank you, Prof. Fong, all the way from UMS. I think right now, my day and nights are trying to finish up the academic transformation models. That, you know, it's high time that we need to make that transformation. Remember when I shared just now on the reimagining higher education for the nation, you know, and for the past 2 years I have been listening to statements saying that our talent, our graduates have a our graduates are not trained enough, they don't have certain skill sets, and you know that skill gaps between the supply and demands are still there. So I'm trying hard, the team in Department of Higher Education and Ministry of Higher Education are trying very hard to reduce that gap. And one of the biggest initiatives that we want to do is to transform academic programs. When we say transform the academic programs, not only the syllabus, not only the curriculums, but also the pedagogy, the transforming the delivery. You can have, a very good industry-driven or research-infused programs that you have designed, but when you're going to deliver uh, the same conventional way, the conventional method and approach, you will have the same graduates. So transformation of the academic programs, transformations of educators are those two actually our biggest initiative that we're going to have.
Terima kasih. Thank you, Dr. Wan.
Thank you, Prof. Fong.
Okay, Dr. Wan, we have several questions from the chat box. And one of them is regarding micro-credential. How far has it reached higher learning institution in the country?
Okay, I think, thank you for the question. The micro-credentials, I can say that USM has started micro-credential courses. now championing micro-credential, where more than 100 courses are being offered as micro-credentials in their programs. Starting this semester, all of their programs must have micro-credential courses. UTM, University Technology Malaysia, are working on the micro-credential courses also. And when we talk about micro-credential courses, not only for our students, we should be looking at lifelong learning courses, not only for our students, but also for professional developments of our educators, not only lecturers, but also for our teachers also. So if you can see for 2021, the aim, our aim is to scale up this initiative for micro-credentials to all higher learning institutions.
So one more thing, Dr. Wan, I want to ask about the online degree, you know.
Yes.
The university can offer the online degree. Is it we need to go to the NQA after that come out with the new program, or just can offer the online degree?
New degree through ODM.
We call it the online degree, 100% online degree. For
Yeah,
example, you have master in ABC, something like that.
Yeah.
This
So
one
actually,
is professional mode, but now we want to offer the online degree, full online degree. So we need to do something like we need to go to the MQA, or just can transfer from that mode to other mode. Then
you have to go through the MQA because this is under the COPA ODL. This is like online degree that is offered by like open universities, you're saying, right?
But the COPA ODL, they use maybe 80% of the online, but 20% face to face.
That is minimum,
Online,
minimum 80%, but we have also 100%.
Okay, that's mean what university to do is they need to create something like the new program. After that, they need to go to the something that the normal process lah. After
Yes.
that,
Yes.
okay, thank you, Dr. Wan.
Yeah.
So thank you. Maybe we give back to the Dr. Siti Nazwa, because I can see that we have another session, isn't it, Dr. Siti Nazwa? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next question is.
Congratulations, Sister. Ada soalan, okay.
Yes, we have more questions from Dr. Izwan Nizal. How these destructive technologies can help those in rural area or remote area in their teaching and learning experience?
Okay. When we talk about disruptive technologies, okay, I think it's very important that we ourselves would be able to identify which technology that actually works well in the if we're looking at the rural area or remote area, which technology that we can actually, we need to be able to identify and work with the industries and agencies, with the state governments. You know, we have to deep dive. Okay, we need to deep dive. When we have identified, you know, the technology that can be used, then we need to work with other people so that this technology can be applied to the rural area. For example, working together with the Ministry of Multimedia and Communication, with KKMM on the network and bandwidth, or even the tower, for example, in the remote area and rural area. So we need to deep dive, and the most important thing is work collaboratively.
Okay, Doctor, one last question from the chat box from Dr. Mativanan. It seems most demand jobs more focused on computer or digital technology related jobs. Is this implicitly indicating Ministry of Higher Education or educational institution need to transform current educational policies and so on?
the shift, okay, the shift to online learning, although at first in March it was a rapid transition to online learning, and we had challenges at that time where educators need to transfer all their physical learning to the virtual learning environment. And after the semesters finish, even during since March until September and October, we were trying to accommodate, and the universities are trying to help the students to have access to internet, to have access to online or learning materials, and many ways, many initiatives have actually helped to help the students. Now, this unprecedented crisis or this pandemic is still uncertain. Okay, it's still uncertain. If you can see now, when we had our first paper to MKN that we asked to bring back those students in needs to the universities, it was in May, and in July or in late June we had another paper saying that, oh, in October everybody can come back to the campus. And who would ever thought that now, you know, in October, November, that everybody cannot come back, for example. So this is very uncertain, and the online learning is the shift to online learning is here to stay. So in order for us to optimize, to take that challenge, we have to have that what we call uncommon thinking for uncommon times. Although we focus on this digital skill, okay, other skills, technical skills, other communication skills and negotiation skill and all are still very relevant. But definitely on the digital transformation is our way forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wan, for your time and valuable contribution for 5th ISS 2020. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the opening ceremony. Thank you to all guests and participants. We will now have a short break, and we will come back to the parallel session of the conference at dedicated room virtually sharp at 10:55 a.m. All participants and presenters are advised to be in the respective presentation room at least 5 minutes earlier so that we will be able to start as scheduled. See you soon.